Welcome back. Welcome to the All In podcast, where we talk about going all in on all things related to life as a man, a father, a husband in today's crazy world. My name is Lin Trin. I'm your host, and I have my co-host with us here, Alex Ranieri. How are you, brother?
I'm great, man. Yeah. It's good, man. Went for a haircut early this morning. Took the little dude, my number 3, Roman. His curls are insane, man. You've seen him, so hair's like this long and got a little trim. So
I feel like we almost have matching hair. Like I need that downlight so that people can see. But I had a haircut. What do you get? What fade? What do you tell the hairdressers? Because sometimes they fuck it up.
Yeah, I know, man. No, I go to one now. They're barb, like they are just for men. Nothing against women, but yeah, man, I was getting fucking butchered about a year ago, and I was using a lot of product to fix it. So I go for a half, fade it into a 2. You might be a 0, maybe, not sure.
Yeah, I like the 0.
And then just a little trim, little thinning. I got thick hair, so
to be fair, I like the 0. I like as short as possible because I'm like, I want to come back in 3 weeks and not 2. But I just find haircuts so inconvenient. Like, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
I used to shave for a while.
I just wish, honestly, I wish I had the skill where I could cut my own hair, and I want to develop that skill because I think it's not the money, it's actually more the time, and it's more just me being able to nail it every time. But during COVID, I tried to do it because we were all locked down 3 years ago. I tried to do it, and it was a bit of a shit show, bro. You'll go back to you're like, yeah, it was a bit of a shit show. So
that takes me back to when I tried when I was 12 years old, man, and I cut half my sideburn off.
I was going to say, what do you
my mum yelled at me.
What do you tell the butchers? But it's the barbers. What do you tell the barbers?
Yes. Yeah. Fitted out, don't make me look too bad. But I'm the same as you, man. Like I went there with Roman today, and he's good. Like he gets the cutthroat out, and they give you a little bit of TLC. But I'm like, fuck, man, like that's an hour and 15 of my day.
Yeah.
Plus the big things to do, man.
Yeah. We've got to find. It's hard. I live down in the peninsula in Melbourne, so you can't find a lot of barbers there. What do you tell them? Like you go from a 0 fade up. I don't even know how to communicate. You know what I do? I take a photo of my best haircut and I go, just do this. Just do this. And then I'll go, give me a skin fade. So it goes down. Fuck, Ocean loves touching it after. She's oh my God, you're bold back here. It's the craziest thing. But you look good.
The big thing, thank you, man. Yeah, you look sharp as well. The main thing I tell them.
We look too close to each other. We look too close to each other. That's crazy.
My big thing, man, is the sideburns. Like I had a guy once that lined it up with the top of my ear. It fucking killed me, man. It took me and I don't grow hair that much, facial hair. It took me fucking 3 months to get that back. And I was like, man. And I laugh at everyone who does that. Everyone who, like the old dudes who cut their sideburns so high.
I was telling Gary,
I'm one of them.
I was so tired of getting haircuts. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go bald. She's like, don't go bald. And I'm like, man, I wish I grew a beard because then I could be like Jason Statham. You know that Jason Statham dude? He's super suave because you can only go bald if you have a beard, right? But if Kerry was like, if you go bald and you don't have a beard, it looks like you have cancer. I was like,
not untrue. Brutal.
So we're just adjusting to this show, aren't we? We're trying to figure some shit out. We have a great message, and the message here is to actually share what it's like to go all in on a man in the second half as a father, husband, what it's like to be in today's world. I don't even know. So heck, we're going to figure this shit out together. So, Al, what do we have for the topic of the day? You threw this stat at me. You said there's a divorce every 6.5 minutes. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that stat, bro? Can I Google it? I'm going to Google it now.
Yeah, I like making things up. It just has more punch, gets more people seem to say, wow, that must be true. Al said it. That's what the mainstream media does. So why can't I?
You know what's crazy? Yeah. When I saw you say this in an ad, somebody else started using it in their ads.
Oh, I think I might know who that somebody is, but
and then that person
that's a whole other episode about talking about being flattered that you get blatantly plagiarized. Now have a look at the divorce rates in Australia. So all of you men watching this or anyone watching this can look it up. What I like doing is I like pulling perspective. You know, Lynn, I'm really big on perspective of things. So if someone gives me a number, I don't manipulate it, but I look at how can I make that have more impact? Just like, say, we've all got 24 hours in a day. That doesn't mean anything to us anymore because we're all desensitized. Where if I say to men, hey, when you wake up every day, your awake time, you got 1,000 minutes. How are we going to use that? It's a lot, but we know a minute goes quick, and we shift perspective. So I took the number on the divorce rate daily, and then I looked at the awake time, because people don't get divorced when they're asleep, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
And a 16-hour average. And when you break down the 16-hour average of how many divorces there are every day, it's 6.5 minutes.
I'm looking here on my phone right now, right? Okay, you think Australia is bad. America, every 13 seconds there's a divorce. Every 13 seconds. But that's because they have like 300 million people, and they're Americans. But let's kind of explore that. I think there's one thing: people look at High Performance Father, and they go, hey, like, you can't fix every marriage, right? Or you can't fix every relationship. And I would say that's true. You know, I think before people come and work with you and the team and the crew, I think the very first thing is we draw that line in the sand. Hey, like, you got to make the decision today. Are you committed to fixing this, or are you committed to moving apart? Because men often stay in no man's land, like in my perspective, right? They say, like, men just generally, the majority of men stay in no man's land. They don't really do anything. They wait on life to get up to them, to nudge them, to say, hey, man, like, you got no money in the bank account. Hey, man, there's a bill. Hey, man, you got a tax bill. Oh, shit. That's just the majority of men that I recognize, including myself at a level, was living at that day to day, like waiting for, you know, the right girlfriend to come, waiting to get married. I don't want to marry this chick. We just keep, you know, we're playing quite the waiting game. So I don't know what I was talking about. Let's digest onto this 6.5 minute. Why does that happen now? Why does divorce happen? Like, you got kids, right? Like, you got kids. Yeah. Why does divorce happen? Because when you have kids, and I think I said to Kerry, hey, I think the more kids we have, the higher the chance that we're going to stick together. I don't know if that's true. That's just my feeling. If I've got, like, if her and I have like 6 kids together, there's a very high chance we're going to stay together. Whereas, I don't know, can we find statistics in terms of married couples that with no kids? What are the divorce rates there?
Yeah. There was a member who came on board yesterday, great guy, and he was talking about that with marriage counselling and whatnot, and how it didn't work for him. And I said to him, you know what, one thing I haven't looked into is the statistic on marriage counselling success rate of married people who aren't parents versus married people who are. Because think about it, man, like, if you and your wife are having issues, you see a marriage counsellor, like, fuck, what are the big problems that you have? You don't have children, the counsellor, everything. And let me share a story with you, Lynn. How many minutes do I have? 2, 3, 4?
Go for it.
But look, honestly, like, for me, when you ask that question, why they get divorced, it takes me back to, me and my wife are quite old in our relationship. We dated in high school, been together since.
What are you guys, 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years. Really? Yeah, 20 years this year. Well, it's already past April. Yeah, so, you know, like, I look at that, and for quite a mature couple, there was still business, trying to make money. She was progressing quite high. She became an assistant principal by the age of 26, you know, very young, and, like, well done to her, so very driven, Korean. And I look at all these things that were still stacked on as stresses, and then the biggest one for me was when it was like the body, the business, the wife, and then the children. And Stella came along, man. She didn't sleep for 3.5 years. Like, that's fucking brutal, man. Like,
what do you mean? When I say for 3.5 years?
So yeah, like, did not sleep through the night. Now, generally that obviously happens with newborns. However, people get a good run of anywhere between 4 and 9 months. Yep. The children will at least sleep 5 hours straight. She didn't, man. For 3.5 years, she would wake up every 1 to 3 hours. And when I say 3 hours, that was towards the back end. So usually she'd wake about 3 times a night, and then about 4 or 5 times a night, and then eventually 2 to 3 times a night, which was 3. Like, we already had Lillian. Like, Lillian was already born, so we had 2 kids, and Lillian was sleeping better than Stella at 6 months. That was a saving grace, man, that Lillian actually slept. But it took me through to really seeing that one of the big reasons why I was on the brink of divorce with my wife 6 years ago was, it just becomes that straw that breaks the camel's back in stress, pressure. Yeah, I get all that. But what happens is, it starts off with me and she, just like you and Kerry. So individuals. And then there's we. And then there's us. And then the us takes precedence, and everything was going into Stella. And everything was going into Stella and Lillian. And it was just so tough, because at the cost of putting so much into parenting and the children, we lost the we, and we certainly lost the me and she. I wasn't doing things myself. I had no hobbies. There was no joy, man, other than, like, looking at my children, which is something that as a man you need, like, that drives you, but you need to fill your cup
What did you need? What did you need that you weren't getting?
Two things. One, I needed to feel important from my wife, but she was focused on, looking after and keeping our children alive. But I didn't communicate that to her as an expectation. It was just an assumption. And two, to actually be in control again. And what I mean by that is say no, have healthy boundaries and block out time for me to train, to go fishing, to go, dirt bike riding, whatever the hobbies were at the time, because they change over time too. But for me, it was that, man. There wasn't an outlet for me as an individual, just my time to go and find and have joy again and enjoy that time, as well as I didn't feel important in the household because there were more mouths to feed and more priorities, so to speak.
How do you establish that boundary? Like for me personally, I know that when I'm not working, I feel a huge sense of obligation and desire. I say obligation and desire to want to spend time with my family because I feel guilt. Let's say if I'm going to go, man, I feel guilty. Like I'm in the peninsula and, I would love to just go for a bike ride or run for about half an hour and just go, you're running along the beach and you're going for a trek. I feel a sense of guilt because there are other things that, I know Kerry needs help with holding the baby, putting Atlas to bed. So I'll hold him to bed at times, right? And I just feel that. And at the times, I don't know if it crosses over towards, it never crosses this place because I have desire to do it. It never crosses over to this place where I feel like I'm getting less. I wonder what you think. Is that quite dangerous in terms of at some point, am I going to feel like my cup's empty? Because at the moment, my whole life revolves, okay, I want to wake up. I want to make sure I get shit done. I want to make sure the company is run. And then I'm going to spend as much time as I can with my kids and my wife. I don't have a lot of my own hobbies. Like in terms of friends, it's funnily enough, all of my friends are my clients. And it's like, I have really good relationships with people that I work with. They're my friends, right? But in terms of my balance, like do you find that to be out of whack? What are things that, am I in a danger zone? Is that what I'm saying? Because I don't necessarily want to go and watch a movie by myself. Does that make sense? I'll go work out, but it's 25 minutes. I don't feel that need to, they say you should spend time by yourself. And I'm like, man, I work with my clients, my friends, and then I'm with my family. That's it. Anything I don't need, I don't really necessarily care about me and my hobbies. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you're in the danger zone, man, because you're aware of it. A lot of men aren't, and they reach a point where it boils over, and they just want everything now. Yeah. Here's my escape, and that's where they go and buy all the toys or all the things as a coping mechanism they actually don't even use. It's just a feeling of importance that I can have that, whether it costs money or not, and I'll do it. But with yourself, man, it's a tough one with you because I think you're pretty solid because you eat really well, you're healthy and strong and fit, so you're really actually solid in yourself. Whereas a lot of men, I've found that's why. Like I know you commend me on my patience, but I was quite a grumpy dad at the start with Stella because I was an elite athlete who was giving that up, and I was letting my body go, and that was my vehicle. And I had joy. I actually enjoyed the pain of training and the suffering because I knew that I was doing things that were rare for a man my size in CrossFit. So maybe there was ego, there was significance involved, but I think generally, man, like it's the reason why I got the jet ski nearly a year ago. It's just a fantastic.
How is that, by the way?
So good, man.
Do you go on there by yourself, like just on the back of the house? You got a little, like, what do they call that? Is it a pier? It's not a pier.
Dry deck. Yeah. There's a little dry deck.
You got a dry deck.
Yeah,
do you park the jet ski there?
No, only because of the maintenance on the weathering and the washing and whatnot. And it's the ramp is literally 500 meters from home. So we've got a really big garage. Hook it up, down. I'm in the water in less than 5 minutes, and I'm back home.
That's kind of like I kind of feel like I would enjoy a jet ski or a motorbike, just to really get that thrill. I think they're two very, when you're going at speeds and you got the air and you got the wind in your face and the world's at your fingertips, right? Like it would feel insane to be like in the bay in the ocean on a jet ski.
Oh yeah, man, where you are would be unreal. Because I took it in the ocean once. I was worried I was going to die. I was crashing through waves, getting like 3-4 seconds airtime, and I didn't tell Krim where I was going. And I didn't check in with the Marines and the Marine guards. But look, what I love about it, man, is I get the kids on. So what I do is I get them on first. I'll give them like 5-10 minute spins first and just play with them. Then they obviously go to the jetty. Krim picks them up, and then I do my cruise. It's freedom. Like you said, it's the thrill, exhilarating. Like I'll get up to 110 Ks and just pumping it. Great fun. Really enjoy it. It's a good outlet. And it's something that takes me away from what has traditionally been my outlet. Like, for example, we've had guys who run meditation businesses join High Performance Father. What do you do to unwind? I meditate. I'm like, well, that's stupid because that's your place of work, man. Just like being an athlete was my place of work for so long. So the jet ski was awesome. It was a great change up.
Yeah.
And I think having that is, like, I don't think you're in the danger zone, but I think having that is important. Like you mentioned with movies. The other day I went and watched The Running Man, an old movie with Arnie. It's a really good one, never highly publicized, but a really, really cool movie. Yeah. And even just the nostalgia of watching that when I was a kid and the memories, I already know the ending. It was good. And I don't know, man, like I think for me, to probably answer your question, I trick myself because we want to, with our spare time, do what we can for the family. But I actually trick myself by with a truthful approach by going, how can I be better for my kids? Is spending a bit of time for me going to fill my cup and make me have more patience in this? So I actually trick myself. Yeah, I should be with the kids, but hang on, will I be better for them in 45 minutes time if I go take the jet ski out for half an hour? I'm like, well, yeah, I will, because I'll be calm, I'll be relaxed, I'll have my outlet.
Yeah.
So I should do that. Even though
quite a lot of it is just getting yourself right. Like it's actually just controlling what's in here and like making sure that your mind's right. You have peace of mind, whatever it is. And then that way you stop reacting at the situation or the chaos that the kids bring. I also like to think that we're on the other side where we actually do want to be with our families. And I do know that there are men on the flip side that don't want to be with their families. Like they'll spend all day at work. They'll spend all day thinking, I've got work trips. They'll book work trips with their mates to get away from their families. What about those guys? Like, do you get those guys coming into HPF?
Not really. We get the ones who are like that, but they don't want to be.
Okay.
But we definitely don't get the ones who want to keep doing that. And it comes down to, as you would know, man, they're producing, right? So they're important at work, but they don't know how to parent. They don't know how to provide value. They're not seen as valuable by their kids. So why the fuck would they?
Why do you think they're avoiding going home? Why do you think? What are they avoiding at home, these guys? Like they'd rather spend more time at the office. They'd rather spend more time at work. What are they avoiding? Why aren't they going home?
Could be two things, man. Maybe they're what I just said then. Maybe they're seeking and chasing. So desire, chasing significance because they know they'll get it at work and they won't get it at home. And then the second one is maybe they're also avoiding what is for most men a very tough, challenging, confronting period of growth to lead, provide value, and do the right thing by your children in their presence, being present with them. It's a tough thing.
I think so. Maybe their home environment sucks. Maybe they go home, their wife doesn't respect them, appreciate them, puts him down constantly, says he does all the wrong things, right? The women demasculate the men, right? And so they don't feel a sense of value, so they want to avoid home because it's not a warm feeling. I think I'm very lucky where I feel appreciated. I feel like a sense of warmth and family when I'm with my family, right?
It's tough, isn't it? Because it becomes a vicious cycle because then he doesn't either A, know, or B, want to step up to the plate to turn the tide to lead and influence his wife. So she stays bitter, he stays bitter.
I think it becomes super complex over time. Like it's one of those things where you're dealing with a relationship, not only like with your wife or husband, but then you're dealing with the relationship and the circumstances around the kids, how to parent the kids, and then you're dealing with the beliefs of your parents and what they want, the grandparents as well. If you have a family who if Kerry was to listen to her mother-in-law and father-in-law, and then she's imparting that on me, it gets really complex. Like, how do you untangle that for a person coming in with all of their shit? Like you've got men coming in with all of their shit and they're coming in from different circumstances going, look, my wife cheated on me. She doesn't respect me. And there's about 1,000 problems that he can't name, but we can only name the top 3, but literally there are 1,000 problems. Like where do you start beginning to untangle? Like what's the thread that you pull on? That is
First thing, man.
Firstly, that's the question. And second, how do you even where do you begin?
First thing, I mean, I've never thought of it and wanted to pursue it myself. But first thing I asked them is, have you ever considered to just turn gay? All your problems will disappear, man.
Have you ever considered?
Have you
ever be gay?
Shit, man. I think it's what you said right at the start. Like, all right, cool, man. Are you going to commit to finding a way to make this work? Like, are you committing to?
You know what most guys say? Most guys say, yeah, I'm committed, bro.
Yeah.
And their commitment, we know this. I've seen this time and time again, man. It's like their commitment level is like their commitment level for a day, maybe a week, maybe a month, right? We know the statistic. Most people drop off their New Year's resolution within like 2 weeks. Okay,
yes. So, well, the second part from that is, you're right. It's about getting lots of little yeses and then actions to follow through. So when they do say that, because you're right, all of them say that, then it's a case of, cool, man, well, how do you think this will change? Like, if anything's going to change, it's going to come down to one person. Who do you think that is? It's you. And a lot of the men who come through, they have the humility to go, yeah, man, I reckon, like, she may have her shortcomings, but I can only control what I can do. I've got to do something about it. So we get them to actually step up and go, well, I have to do something about it. And then we actually let them understand that there may be resistance, because your wife, even people who are living a life they're not happy with, there's comfort in that because there's certainty and predictability.
Yeah.
So you need to then step up, take lots of actions to create uncertainty in your wife's certainty of who you are. Oh, you'll just be that guy again. Here he is, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what we need to get them over.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's like fix you, because if you fix you, you'll fix the situation because you can change it. But what if the wife's a bitch? Like, what if she's the biggest fucking victim? She's like, bro, like, what if she's a bitch and you've got like 4 kids? What do you do from there? And everything you do, she's been beating you up this whole time. You're not good enough. You're not a man. And then, she's the type of wife that looks at, her friends' husbands and go, oh, I wish you were more like Robbie over there. Robbie does everything. He's good with his hands and he's good with, mowing the lawn, and you're just useless. What if you're with that kind of woman? And over the but you love your kids. And you just want to be, I'm just throwing scenarios because I'm like, bro, when I see your ads and I read the amount of comments on but this is a scenario. This is a real scenario.
Crucified.
Right? Yeah, it's like
so much love and hate.
Well, you have a couple of ads. The guys that are just pissed off at you, right? You've got guys going, "Oh, you're right. This is completely what I need to do." Yeah, and then you have guys that say it's the woman's fault, right? So we're just coming in from tackling, why don't you run high performance mother or high performance woman? What if you have that situation? Like, if this was you and you were a situation and your wife was just beating you up on everything that you did, nothing you did was right. You wanted to go home and she just doesn't respect you anymore, but she's got kids with you. You love your kids. You got 4 kids and you don't want to get divorced because let's just say you've seen what divorce does to kids and it's not a pretty thing. What are you doing in that situation?
That's a really tough one, man. I'm trying to think of what I would do. Obviously it's not my situation, so I've never thought it through.
What are you doing if you're changing? If you're going, fuck, I'm trying my best, and you're giving your best, right? And it may not be what she wants, but you're giving your best. You're like, sweet, I'm gonna start doing more shit. Cool, all of these insults she's throwing at me and low level, unappreciative insults, and that I'm not good enough. Cool, I'll build some thicker skin. What happens in that scenario? Like, does the man choose to leave?
It's tough,
because my thought is the woman's doing that because she wants control, she wants power over the man. She's also very insecure, right? She's also very insecure, and this is what I see generally. It's just in negotiation that if the man finally steps up to leave, she actually she flicks the switch. She goes, oh wait, no, I didn't mean it. What am I going to do without you? She becomes more the victim. How could you do this to me? And I can see that scenario playing.
It takes me back. This is what I would do anyway. Like I'm not sure if this is the right answer for anyone else, but for myself, it takes me back to when Corinne and I were in this turmoil and this chaos together. We wanted to both be together, but she kept bringing up the past and my shortcomings, and it was this back and forth. And so layered with that, I was threatening to leave, and it got to a point where it really reached a head where I had worked on myself, Lynn. I had built myself back up. And like you're saying, like I'd become and moved towards our version 2.0 to the point where when she brought it up again, it was actually quite calm where I said, hey, look, Corinne, like I know what you're referencing and what you're talking about. That's not who I am. That's the old Al. That's no longer me. Now, we've got 2 options here. You can choose to believe that and stay that and live in the past, which is costing you the now and the future. And look, some guys might not be wordsmiths like me, but I wasn't complex. It's simple.
Did you say that too? Say, you can live in the past. You can deal with the consequences, the opportunity costs.
I said, I love our family. I want to do this. But, if this keeps going, it's not right for me.
Yeah.
Like personal integrity, as much as I love my children even, my personal integrity has to come first, man. And that is rock solid because I know with that they win. With that my wife wins. And I said to her, if this keeps going, like this is not a threat. I'm willing to walk away. And my advice, if I was in the position now where, and she wasn't like crazy like what you were mentioning, but if that was the case, I have this saying, man, and look, it's really funny because it is quite it's quite contrasting the feedback, but especially on TikTok, it got over 1 million views right away. Behind every crazy woman is a weak man who didn't have the balls to stand up and lead his family the right way. It's so funny. Some men love it and agree. Some men hate it. Some women love it and agree. And some women hate it. What do you mean crazy women? It's the craziest fucking statement. It's been the number one statement, man. Behind every crazy woman is a weak man who didn't have the balls to step up and lead the family. The reason why I say that is if this woman has become such a monster in the relationship, more often than not, it might not have been you, man. It might have been her father. It might have been her brother. There's a seed planted somewhere where there was a manifestation that was allowed to take place where, like you said, Lynn, there's insecurities, there's fear. And for us as men, if I was in this position, I would take ownership. And then secondly, I would lead and level myself up. And then thirdly, I would communicate and convey to her, hey, I don't need you. I want you and I want this to work, but I'm solid. I actually don't need you. I love our children. I love our family. But I am willing to walk away because I am not willing to put up with this anymore.
Yeah.
And you're right, Lynn. We see that so often because we guide men on that in HPF.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Al, it's been 3 months. It's been 4 months. I'm like, yeah, deadlines are important, but don't be too. But yeah, deadlines are important. You shouldn't be putting up with this for years. But they reach a point, and as soon as they walk away, Lynn, they're like, Al, you're fucking. I've had this so many times, man. I get goosebumps. They message me, you're fucking right, man. I finally, like, bang, she's back all in. And it's so cool.
Mm.
But it's so counterintuitive too. It's like, no chasing, no. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I think the reality for most men is it's tough. It's tough to have courage when you haven't had courage for, a decade. It's tough to elicit courage because she knows that you're not courageous, and she, the crazy woman's going on top of you. She knows you're a deadbeat, but she's controlling you because that's what makes her feel safe. In reality, if you leave, she's completely shit scared, right? I think that's good. I think there's a place where the man needs to communicate, hey man, like this is me. I have the courage to step up and I'm no longer going to tolerate being treated this way. This is how I want to be treated. If I'm not treated this way and I don't treat you the same way, I don't treat you the way that you want to be treated, then this is no longer the relationship worth investing in for me. I'm going to walk away. I think the scary part is a lot of men or a lot of women inside of these relationships, they stayed here because they don't have anything to walk away to. So like you think about it, being a single person, being a single guy, as in his 40s, or being a single woman, a single mum in her 40s isn't a very attractive thing for a woman to look forward to. It's a scary place out there. What do I do when I'm 40? I'm irrelevant.
It's really tough, man. It's something where, and I say this with respect, but if there's a woman who does not put a high level of value on motherhood and having a great relationship, what value does she have to add to the world, Lynn, as she gets older? Because when it comes to a career path and the workforce, she'll be outperformed by any young woman or man. It's tough. My nan's here with us, staying at the moment, nearly 90 years of age. You know what I said last night? We went out for dinner and all the kids were cuddling Nan, and they call her Nana Grape instead of Great Nana. Nana Grape. It's so funny. And I've obviously, my mum's here as well, and they call her Nonna, being the half Italian side and terminology. And I said, hey, you know what, everyone? And I said this openly, and everyone sees me, including mum and Nan, as the big dog of the house. And I said, you know what, everyone? None of us would be here if it wasn't for Nana Grape. We should all go and give her a big kiss and cuddle. And they're like, really? Well, I'm like, yeah. Daddy wouldn't be here. Mummy wouldn't be here. Like, none of us would be if it wasn't. Here's this old woman, man, on a stick, like her final years. Like, I love Nan. She's unbelievable. But that's the truth. And she's just like, this is the hard part for a lot of women, not to dive off, but it's that delayed, it really is delayed gratification to go, man, as I get older, I'm so much bigger than anything else that I could get a paycheck from. That's yeah. But you're right, man. It's tough as a woman getting older and as men. And I think for a man, the big thing for me is I had to show consistency, because when I was showing consistency in rebuilding my marriage with Corinne, it highlighted hypocrisy. You know how you're saying I'm not doing these things to you, but you're doing them to me. If the woman's still a bitch and whatnot, showing consistency through your actions highlights hypocrisy. And when that happens enough times, the woman becomes the common denominator where, like, her in-laws, like my in-laws, sorry, Corinne's parents are like, fuck, Alex has changed so much. He's amazing. Her friends, Alex has changed. Everyone's saying Alex has changed so much except Corinne. And then, so you shouldn't tell them, but that's what happened for me anyway. And she's great, man. Credit to her. Because some women, maybe they go too far and they don't come back. But I think that's the path, man. Having the courage, like you said.
My view on that is, I want to kind of elaborate, is that, man, like, being a mum and a dad is fucking hard, and being and connecting is fucking hard. Like, I think if I could go back, I would have really, knowing what I know now, I really would have enjoyed my childhood a lot more, my adolescence years, because there was no responsibility. You're free. You had nothing to think about. You'd always come home to some food, hopefully. But it was the most liberating times of my life that I didn't enjoy as much as I'd like to, because now it's like you have the responsibility, and it's crushing, because as the man, my responsibility is thinking about, how do I provide for my family? At the same time, then it's not just that, it's how do I look after myself and make sure that I'm in good shape, so that I don't break my back when I'm holding my kids and I can play around and be with my kids. There's that expectation as well. And the expectation is once I go home, I'm a good dad, and I can be the second mum to actually help around and make sure the kids are nurtured. We have so many, I suppose, expectations as a man to uphold. And on the flip side, the female has so many expectations that she needs to uphold. Like, how does she be a good mum? How does she be a good wife? How does she actually stay pretty and stay beautiful as she's aging, and she's accepting that her body's not the same? Like, that's a huge thing for women as well. That's a huge thing for Kerry. Like, how does she, if women rely on quite a lot of their beauty earlier on, right? And with all the makeup, and they can see that deteriorates, how does their self-worth and their self-image, if they're fighting against a losing battle with getting older and having more kids and their body changing, they're fighting that internal battle as well. And I think the answer is that, well, at least my answer is that we're both fucking going through really hard things, and it's having that level of understanding and empathy, and it comes from a place of seek to understand. Like, quite often I'm just thinking about myself, and everyone thinks about themselves. But if the moment I can put on Kerry's hat, and if I'm going, shit, like, I don't have to breastfeed Atlas throughout the night, or I'm not smashed because I'm holding Atlas, or I'm not sitting here emotionally being trained by the kids looking after two little babies for the entire day. Oh fuck, by the way, that career that I once had, yeah, throw that out the window, because that doesn't matter anymore. And then, oh my god, then I'm on Instagram looking at all these other women smashing out their career and thinking, fuck, like, what am I doing? Oh shit, by the way, my body's changing, and so I can't eat like the same amount of food because now my body is reacting completely different. Oh, by the way, my eyes look completely old and I'm not as beautiful as I once was. Oh my god, who am I? Oh shit, like, my husband just wants to slap my ass every time he walks through the kitchen, and I'm just this physical object. Like, there's just so many emotional thoughts that come across unconsciously. And when I really think about it, I go, fuck, man, like, women do have it hard. And then I go, fuck, man, men do have it hard too. Like, it's just a reality, So that's kind of the craziest realization, is that it is really hard. So when you understand the constraints, then what do you do next in that situation? I think the only thing is to go, hey, like, to acknowledge that both the journeys are really difficult, and try to work together and try to have empathy and understanding.
Agreed, man. This is the problem I find, not to get on my high horse ranting, but it's a problem I find with society where there are uniquely, individually very hard things for a man, and there are for a woman, and they're trying to blend them and cross them over. What fucking hope does a woman have, man, with all of the things she's already currently burdened and shackled with, to then try and take on the heart of what a man does? And what I mean by that is, the heart of a woman is they are conditioned to magnify depreciating assets, physical looks, beauty, social status, social networking and groups, and all these things that really, in a lot of ways, are a depreciating asset. We are an organism that is slowly decaying. And so they've already got all that on top of, let's take all the hard things for what a man is. Crazy, man. But But what you're saying is really, it's a skill, Lynn. Like having that perspective to see through other people's eyes, it helps you seek that understanding. I think that's something that's often missed because we always cry, poor me, or I'm the only one.
I'm the only one. What about me? It's the what about me moment. I've got all this responsibility. Yeah. And it's assuming that the other person doesn't have it as hard. And if you actually walked a day in their shoes, you'd realize that you wouldn't be able to do it as well. Like it's crazy. So
on that, man, that this just highlights the trouble of society. And this was a long time ago. That song by Shannon Knoll, "What About Me? It Isn't Fair." That was so fucking popular. Like, is that not a red flag in society?
What's the lyrics?
Every fucking Aussie wanted to sing that and scream it at the top of their fucking lungs, man. Like, I remember that song come out, I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know, why would I want to sing that song? That doesn't really put me in an empowered position.
What about me? It isn't fair. I've had enough now. I want my share. Can't you see I want to live? But you just take more than you give.
You've said it. Yeah. You've obviously, you got the lyrics up, man.
I got the lyrics.
But crazy. So popular. Look, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I have my little power hours, but they're very short. They're short. They're shorter in intensity and shorter in length. Thanks to you as well. You've helped me a lot with that, man, over the years, because I am a very emotionally driven man, but now I leverage that to go, you know what? I'm never going to hit home runs all the time, every day, but I will never have this day ever. You cannot get today ever again. So you might not be 100%, but fuck, mate, step your game up from 60 to 75 or to 80 or do something. And that's been a really good personal powerful mantra of mine. I have morning meetings now, most mornings, not to detract from what we're talking about, but
what do you have morning
I actually set morning meetings for myself, bro.
Yeah. What do you go through?
Just me.
What do you go through?
Sorry?
What do you go through?
I come into the office, generally 5 a.m. I get a bit of a pulse on myself and then my family and then business. And this morning meeting goes through a little bit of journaling. I actually write a letter, and I'm doing it in all different ways. Yeah. So I'm talking. Use God, use whatever word you want, but I'm talking to a higher version of Al, a higher version of the universe and life. I'm also talking to myself in third person. So it's quite funny if you read it, you're like, this guy's talking from all these different voices. But I do that, man, because I really try and get everything out there, where I'm at, how I'm feeling, how I'm traveling, where things are at. What am I really happy about? Like, I'm so fucking blessed, man, that my life isn't perfect because it allows me room to improve on things. Like stuff like that. And you can't just get that from watching motivational videos. You just got to do it yourself, and you won't always hit the mark. But these morning meetings are powerful. No one comes in. I then look at business. Okay, how many lives do I want to help change this month? Awesome. All right, what would need to be true for that? What are the possible roadblocks? So I actually do a triage too. What could fuck me up today? You might not get to train now. Mum and Nana down. You've got a lot of commitments. You need to get fit and healthy and strong. You haven't trained for 3 days. Okay, cool. How will I feel if I don't? How will I feel if I do? So it's literally, man, a morning meeting. I'm looking at mitigating risk,
that's the best
opportunity, and it's cool.
It's perspective, isn't it? It's like going at the end of the day, like nothing else matters, because you start to realize like what really matters. If you lose a kid and you go immediately in those moments, you lose a loved one, you start to recognize that the only thing that mattered was your loved ones. And if you can come in with that frame and go, well, a lot of my shit doesn't actually matter today. Like, why is this triggering me? Why is this bothering me? And I think it's so easy to get caught up in the million things. Like, I get so caught up in the million little nitty gritty details. And then the moment I step up and I see Atlas laughing at me and it gives me that giggle, right? Nothing else fucking matters. Like, it's the best thing in the world. It's like, yeah, cool. Like, at the end of the day, if I lost one of my babies, I literally would not care. I literally would not care about that. That doesn't matter. I'd take time off. I'd take whatever I needed, like everything. I'd give everything up to get Atlas again. And that's the craziest part, or touch wood. But that's the craziest part, that, we're working so much to accumulate all of these things because we think we should, because we think it's going to make us happy. But the thing that is making us happy is already there, and we're not opening up our eyes to it. I think that's the sad part. That's the sad part that you can get caught up in. Yeah,
it is, man. Because you cannot get that back. I remember seeing a billionaire whose life's torn to shit, got lots of money, but from a family perspective, and he's like, and he's on his private jet sharing this this affirmation of his, or this epiphany. He's like, the one thing you can't get back is time with the people you love, and we all know that. But to see that from a man who's so successful, you actually realize, Lynn, that everything in this world, well, I believe anyway, that everything in this world is a rhythm and a cycle.
Yeah.
And a cycle still has a start and an end point. And that means you cannot go and work hard for 20 years and make millions and millions of dollars and think that your wife and your children are still there at 2 and 4 and 5 years of age and your marriage is happy and healthy, and you can just buy all that back. You can't. We are organic creatures with rhythms and cycles. So spending a few hours a day with my kids, having great impact and connecting them, that's so much more valuable to do that for 15 hours a week over 7 days than spending 30 hours with them every 2 months or every 3 months and consolidating.
It's, you know what? It's the more I kind of live this life, where it's like I know that my family is the most important thing, but I also know that business and making money is important. It's not. I had a discussion with Karen. It's not about choosing both. It's about integrating both. It's about being transparent and openly communicating, hey, like this is the business and this is important to dad and this is why this is important. And hey, you want to come in and see how it works? Let me show you. And actually being able to integrate the both. I think there's nothing fucking more phenomenal than running a family-owned business. Because the family get involved. You're now making money and you all get to work as a little community. I think there's something so attractive about building big. And that's how I think fundamentally the man feels supported. Because I know that when Kerry works with me, she does work with me, and we're actually having these conversations, I know like, fuck, like she cares. Yeah. She cares about me. I'm also supporting her emotionally with the kids and the children. And so she knows I care. And I think the more that you can actually align and combine interests, the more that you can find appreciation for each other, the more that you don't have these arguments, these what about me moments. Because the other, Kerry knows what I'm dealing with in business, so she can support me. So it's not more like, oh, Kerry, you have no idea what I've had to go through today. She does. And it's. I think that's something that I would want for people outside to have that connection that I have. But it's hard. It's hard to tell everyone, yo, start your own family business. And whether or not it's, hey, I'd love to share with you what I'm doing at work, and we're together, we're working together as a team. I think that's fundamentally important.
It's what I think about a lot, man. With my 3 kids, I'm like, I can't wait to do business with them because you've got such a big foundation of trust.
Yeah.
Values, you're on the same page and all that. You guys might think that that's not much, but that's a huge amount of mental energy involved when it comes to partnerships and business. And I think it's vital, man. And you know what? Every single story I've heard from a man who's told me the opposite is true. Oh, fucking family and business, never word, no, but every single man who's told me that the opposite of what you've just said, every single one of them, I look at them like, man, you've got none of your shit together. That's why you haven't sorted yourself out first. Because I'm the same as you, man. I think family businesses can, and for us as they get older, will be amazing.
If you're a family first guy, like if you know that you want to be successful, but also at the same time you know that at the end, no matter how much money you make, but at the end you could have $1 billion, but you don't have your family with you, then that's the ultimate failure. Then the reality is you have to integrate that. And I don't see another way than bringing in family into the business, family-owned, family-operated business. I don't know. I look at the Gary V's of the world, right? And I think that's sad that he's gone through a divorce and that he doesn't spend a lot of time with his kids. I don't know what kind of a father he is, but I can only assume that he, what you're not pouring attention into doesn't appreciate. So the relationship must not appreciate. I'm saying that from afar. Just if I was to do that, that's what would happen. So you have a lot of guys making tons of money, having huge amount of success, but I think at the end of it all, when they're sitting there at the end and they don't have their family, I think for me, that'd be the saddest moment of my life to know that I regretted that, right? And so the only other option is, well, I need to bring my family along, and if that means that we're going to move slower, so be it. But if it means that we're not going to move as far towards the end, so be it. But not having them in my life and with me integrated is not the possibility. And I think that's something that I've locked into that, allows them to come along for the journey, allows, everybody to come into the business and learn. I just think, any family run business is so cool. You've got the wife out there making the cookies. You've got the dad, up there setting up the stores, et cetera, et cetera. You've got the kids selling the cookies. Like that to me is the coolest thing that a family can do together and bring each other closer.
Yeah, agreed, man. Because I look at the money and I see like we make a lot of money. To some degree, it's finite. One, you can't take to the grave. Two, it's going to get spent anyway. But that sort of integration with your family, when you're dead, guess what they have the opportunity to do? The exact same with your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. That becomes
There's something so
it becomes infinity, right? And and you know, through integration comes appreciation. A lot of men, like my wife, isn't heavily involved in HPF, but she knows most things. And we're away on Fiji on a holiday, and
that's the
hey,
goal.
kids,
She's not
you
yet.
need to.
She's not involved yet.
Oh yeah. She's
We're trying to. I'm trying to work on Corinne.
Yeah, she's coming in. I think yeah, she'll be amazing with the schools that we'll build one day. That's for sure. But yeah, she said to all the kids, I didn't ask for any of it. She said, "Hey, make sure we really thank Daddy because he works so hard that we've got this holiday that we can go and enjoy." And by all of a sudden, all the kids come up and give me a big cuddle and kiss, and she gives me a cuddle and kiss, and that's cool, man. Like. My family is involved.
Can you please thank me as twice as hard because right now I'm going through a difficult moment in the business. We're pushing hard.
Right. Can we thank Uncle Lin for saving Al several times and kick him up the arse when he needs
my
it?
hug? Where's my hug, kids?
We're coming. August. August will come visit. We'll come down in August.
Hey, dude, I have to go, so we might wrap this up. But
with
that being said, there's a divorce every 6.5 minutes, and fuck, like that's such a huge thing to think about. There's obviously millions of reasons why people get divorced. Fundamentally, like I think, what's the one string that what's the one piece of advice, one piece of string that you would give to somebody going through a tough time with their marriage? What do they need to do? What's the one?
Become more valuable. That's it. Like when you, and value comes in a couple of different ways. Courage. So following through on the intent that's going to improve who you are.
Yeah.
And consistency. Like we talk about like the wives being a bitch. Like if you become a really high form of value in how you produce your actions, what you do, and you're consistent like that, both to the kids and in yourself, they don't want to let go of that. They will flip, you know. So that's important. If I become a very high level of perceived and real value in Corinne's eyes, she'd be fucking mad not to honor her king how she should, just like she's my queen.
Yes.
That's always there, man. If I become the more valuable I become, the more vulnerable I can be because people won't take advantage of that. They want it and they won't tarnish it.
I love it. Yeah. All right, bro. Well, until next time.
Good to catch up, man.
Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. We're going to wrap this up. Until next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you, brother.